What up? What up? What up, world? It's going down. Hey, I'm in another hemisphere right now. It's crazy. They dropped the week one schedule. I got my main man with me, Aunt Rasta. What up?
How's it going?
Hey, we're chilling. Like I said, my sleeves are rolled up. We're on the Get Right Network. Um, let's hit the intro. I'm excited. This is going to be one of my favorite show ideas. We're not talking about necessarily running backs. I know that's what you guys like. Um, but we're going to break down everything. So once a schedule drops, some people are just like, oh, yeah, we kind of already knew what was going on. If you've seen our last episode that we did, you'll get our insight on that. But we're going to break down in more detail what we're looking at in the fantasy football world once the schedule actually drops. So again, sleeves are up. Get Right Fantasy Network. Like and subscribe. This is the kind of stuff that's going to win you games, seasons, and most importantly, money. Right? That's why we're here.
Do it.
Hey, so Ant, what's the first thing as soon as they're dropping the schedule? Besides, like, oh, Cowboys are going to beat the Raiders once it comes Thanksgiving. Like, besides that, what did you notice first?
Yeah, so the first thing I took a look at, of course, are the bye weeks. Obviously, we were kind of taking a look at what the schedule is going to look like. Is there going to be double bye weeks? How that whole thing works, but it looks like each team still is just having one bye week. So again, we're still going to analyze it, a little more. But to me, that's one of the first things that you notice. And once we did that, the biggest thing that I noticed was week 14, which for a lot of people that's usually the first week of the playoffs.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that there's four teams on a bye week in week 14 now. Um, so obviously that's going to change things up, when it comes to the commissioners of the leagues, adjusting those settings. So, now naturally, I assume it's just going to be, week 15, 16, and 17 now, and leaving, week
yeah.
18 open. So again, these are the things that you're looking at, as a, from a player, a lot of you guys out there, are possibly commissioners. So again, these are the things, that we were kind of waiting on, so that we can, lock in our settings and move forward for this year. Another thing I noticed too, in regards to the bye weeks are, um, bye weeks don't start until week 6. They usually start after week 4, in the past. So, just little things like that, which can make a difference, for teams like San Francisco, that have
Trash,
a week
trash.
6 bye.
Let's
That
not
might
waste our
mean,
airtime on this.
Trey Lance might
I don't
be
want the YouTube.
coming in
I
week
don't want the
7.
YouTube watch
So,
hours. Don't
so
waste our YouTube watch hours talking about Trey Lance. If you have Dynasty, take him. No, but you brought up a very good point. So for all of us that played playoffs and were used to a specific system, um, the elephant in the closet is obviously is elephant in the room or it's not in the closet, whatever it is. The schedule has changed. So, like you said, there's 4 bye weeks in week 14. That's pretty late, in my opinion. So, I don't know what teams are going to do. Stay tuned if you guys haven't. We're going to do another commissioner video where we're going to try to give you guys the best advice moving into this next season. That's something very important that I think you guys should follow. Like I said, if you're going to be a commissioner, there's going to be changes. You always got to be on your toes. Everybody's going to look to you for answers. And we don't always know those answers as a commissioner. We've all done it. We've all been commissioners, co-commissioners, things like that. So this is a place where if you have questions, let us know and let's come up with an answer together that we feel is the best suit for you and your league moving forward. So Anthony, you talked about a lot of good things. Know your schedule, know your league, know your settings, know your waivers, all that kind of stuff. We're looking at bye weeks. But another thing, like strength of schedule. So like I said, I talked about on the last episode, the trash dealers are hey, they're going to have a tough schedule come the last 6 games, barring any major significant changes. Things like that. That's what we need to look for. No. So we always say this, like once we get in, we have a strong first half of the season. I'm trying to trade away my guys with some value that I don't think will carry that into the end of the year. And so I'm trying to trade these guys to give me somebody that has the easiest strength of schedule, because I know not everybody's looking at that come beginning of the season, mid season, things like that. And I know that me and you talk about this all the time. So I know you think the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah, and like for example, you mentioned
Mhm.
that week 14 bye week. A lot of the times, it comes down to that last game. You got to win or get in. Jonathan Taylor's on a bye week in week 14. That might be your one running back one. So that might make a difference on who you draft in August or early September. I don't know who drafts early September. That's a little crazy, but
A
I
little
like getting it in there early,
or
a
late,
little earlier than that. Yeah, somewhere in mid August.
way late.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of towards the end there. But you know what I mean? It's like, you kind of got to look at those things. And if
Yeah.
you're kind of prepared for that, when you're sitting there, at that 8 or 9 spot and you got to decide, between Jonathan Taylor, or somebody else, depending on, where your, rankings are, maybe you take a different guy, knowing that that guy's going to be on a bye week. Week
Yeah.
14, just knowing that you're not going to have your running back one at that time. So again, these are just the things that keep me up at night on schedule release night.
No. All right. So you bring up a very good point. So a lot of people get, and you can back me up on this one. So a lot of people get to the point where they're like, "Hey, I don't want to trade this guy, especially to this person, because their team's going to be that much better." But like, if it means you not getting into playoffs, and I need to, like you said, trade Jonathan Taylor to get somebody that's going to help me win this week to get into playoffs, like I could care less what other people's teams are. You want to go in? There's been so many times where the number one team that finishes season at number one doesn't actually win the entire thing. So it's one thing to finish the season, and it's one thing to actually win playoffs. And that's where these trades come into account. So if I can afford to take a Jonathan Taylor right there, and you absolutely have to win, don't be scared to trade me to give me a Jonathan Taylor right there. Which my opinion on him. I don't think he's that guy that I'm going to be trading for. Who knows what happens? But that kind of stuff, like, don't be afraid to trade your guys. Like, win and get in. You should be looking at your team way differently than you do if I'm locked after the first 10 games. Like, I'm coasting into playoffs. And
We'll get into more of
this
that on the
isn't,
trade
yeah,
episodes, but
I know. I didn't want to go
that
there.
is important. No, but it's important, because again, we're talking, draft season right now. We're talking schedule release, and again, these are the things that you have to, take into consideration when you're sitting there on the clock, with 2 minutes to decide. You have to take all these things into consideration when you're making that pick.
And another thing is individual matchups. So if you're looking at somebody, you're looking at a receiver, they're going against a solid corner the last 2-3 weeks. And we know the last 2 weeks is the last week is what's going to win you the championship. So, like, who are you going to take? And, this is that forward thinking that's going to win you a championship that other people aren't thinking. Most people are looking at the draft order and they're like, hey, this is who I want to take in this order because they did good last year. For me, I've already said I feel like last year I'm chalking because of COVID. So there's so many different factors going into this year, and that's why it's going to be so interesting. Get as much information as you can. We're going to try to cover everything. Like, if you guys have questions that we haven't covered, let us know so that we can cover those. But how many people are telling you to look at individual matchups come week 15, 16, 17, and now 18 of next year while you're drafting? If you're in between two people, there's certain things that could break those two people apart.
Hmm. And
One
these are
that
the
you say,
things that,
Anthony.
yeah, and these are the things again in my rankings that you may think, why do I have this guy, here? And again, this is the reason why. Again, it's not because, oh, he's not going to produce or put up those numbers as far as a total or finish RB whatever, overall. It's when it comes time to winning time, is this guy going to produce when I need him to produce in weeks,
Yeah.
to get those 3 wins?
We don't even know what
So
weeks they are right now. And we got to wait
exactly.
for
Yeah. I was
we
about
got
to
to
say
wait for the
14, 15, and
platform.
16, but yeah, it's going to be 15, 16,
Yeah,
17 now. Or,
maybe.
whatever it is. Yeah. So, but again, again, those are the things you want to, pay attention to. Again, also paying attention to the weather. Who's playing in a dome, especially when it comes to, kickers or, people, that have to, throw it outside, if it's raining or snowing. Typically in snow games, you can get, away with the running back because they're going to run a lot. So you kind of want to target those games, but you don't want to target those games for quarterbacks and receivers. So
Hey, hey,
right?
I'm
No,
sure
so it's
everybody's like, hey, but don't worry about that, guys. That's why
yeah,
we're
we
here
got you
for
guys.
you.
Yeah, we
And
got you.
Anthony's
So
looking at this stuff. We've talked about it. So he's talking about who's in a dome, where's your kicker, what's the weather like. These are these are the kind of things that we're doing the work for you. Um, it's it. I, again, this year's going to be super interesting. We've already talked about a lot of this stuff. Um, Anthony, we always agree. Like, I want a quarterback from a team that I feel like is going to be behind because they're going to have to throw the ball more. They're going to get more yards. I want my running back from a team that's more high-powered offense because now you're up by so many points that you're going to want to run the ball, that kind of stuff. So that's the stuff we're going to be breaking down all year. And this year, like, I'm more excited. Last year, I was scared. I walked in, I was like, hey, there's no preseason. Normally, I go to preseason. You couldn't do any of that kind of stuff. So I didn't know what to expect, and nobody did. And I've noticed, not just me, but I've noticed a lot of players that are very good didn't do too well last year. They didn't fare too well because we didn't know exactly what we were looking for. Next year's going to be huge. Like, imagine the impact of if Aaron Rodgers is not playing this year or if he's playing with a new team, how much that's going to change things. Imagine Deshaun's not going to play this year. Like, these are the kind of things that we're going to try to keep you up to date on. We're going to try to make sure that you're in the know, basically, more than people that aren't paying attention to this kind of stuff. So, Anthony, um, we appreciate you being here. If we haven't covered anything that you feel like we should touch on, 100%, hey, let us know. But other than that, we appreciate you being here. I'm going to roll my sleeves down because I feel like
yeah.
we have so many more episodes to come.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for days. That's why we have this channel. We'll keep talking and bringing you guys this knowledge and ride around with you all the way to the end of the year, man. Let's get that belt.
Hey, let's get that belt. And like I always say, get that money. As you guys know, go Cowboys. See you next episode.